public comment. We have the approval of the meeting minutes of November 4th and 16th. Have you read them, Steve?
I have heard them, yes.
Any errors or omissions?
They look good to me.
Okay. And we have a motion to accept them.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from November 4th and November 16th.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous for majority action. 4.0 is guest presentations. We have Dan Lewis from the Government Access Channel.
Hi.
You want to come up and say something?
You might get. That's the first cue I get. We're just here mainly to talk about making sure that we have the channel a good place for us to be when the new process takes over in town. It doesn't have to be anything fancy whatsoever, just a room that we can turn into their studio. Guests love it. They much prefer it to the usual studios you have with the black. You're surrounded in black with hot lights in your face. Ours is the direct opposite. There's a bathroom available too. That's good. We have had all this about. We've had 720 hits in 28 games. That's a lot. And these are people from throughout New England and beyond who are on the show. Doctors, Southwick Zoo, authors, artists. Derek has been with us and will be with us again in February.
Meridian.
Yes, Dave Meridian. Everybody is welcome from all over New England. Yeah. Just want to make sure we got a place to go.
We will be looking at that when the time comes. Okay?
And I would assume that the space you have now is appropriate in size.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Make-
Yep, we do not need anything fancy.
Okay.
Speak.
Yes.
Forward. I am the assistant video guy. I run the cameras for the show in the studio room we have up there. And the size of that room is just enough to get done. Smaller would be difficult. We were able to space things out for the COVID 10 feet away. We were able to set up an airflow so we do the air out. And it has worked quite nicely. Prior to the COVID, the studio worked quite nicely in a different medium. And we use soft lit umbrellas to the glare, as Jan said. Compared to surrounding towns, our studio is modest. If you ever want to see what other people are doing, just go, graft in lights and whatever. We're modest and really with the equipment we have. I set it up each time for we're going to use it, and then I lock it up in a closet to keep it safe. It's fairly portable in that way. Hopefully, after the new library is built and the prestige building may or may not be retained by the town, that we can have something similar to what we're working with now.
Thank you. We will remember that.
It's set up, if you can come on up and visit, it's set up like, that's why guests like it. It's set up like a little living room. They don't feel welcome. My kids don't come in nervous. They don't leave it. They right at home. Right at home. And you called and, you've done a great job with precautions for the COVID. The whole thing was changed around. I'm farther away from guests now. We have the air coming in through. They've been terrific. They seem to enjoy themselves.
So that's good. Thank you.
Very good. That's good to hear.
It is a resource for the town as well.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Okay. Our second guest, 4.2, someone here from the Men's Club.
Thank you. My name is Brad DiDio. I'm current treasurer of the Upton Men's Club. I wanted to introduce an idea that the Men's Club has been talking about recently. Let me introduce it this way by first saying that, as you know, the Upton Men's Club tries to do as much as we can above and beyond for the community, above and beyond what may be funded by the town, above and beyond in terms of programs that are available. And the idea, if you put that slide, show that we could. And the idea, we started talking about, well, what can we do to make a bigger impact in the town for the general usability of the community? And the idea came up about doing a project on potentially using some existing town land. Now, again, this is just an idea right now. I wanted to communicate the thoughts with the board of selectmen. Right now, we're in the just kind of exploration stage, trying to understand how things happen in this regard, what groups we need to talk to even determine viability and funding, and that's all later. But the idea really is to use existing town land and maintain kind of the open space concept by building or at least organizing or designing an open venue that could be shared and used by the general community. It could be used by private organizations, public organizations, nonprofit organizations to do things like concerts, fundraisers, weddings, even anything that really would kind of promote social gatherings and those types of things. This is an initial kind of concept that we're thinking about, where it's really a minimalistic concept, where there's not like bleachers or stadiums or anything like that. It's really just kind of open field where people come out with their chairs. It's trying not to do much to the landscape at all. Just kind of make an open space where people can gather and do things of this nature. You can go to the next slide. So the idea really is recreational in nature, complementing the open space, just to promote the general open environment, healthy outdoor activities, entertainment, community gathering, socialization, and then, obviously try to expand on the use of existing town land that may be underutilized. Next slide. So I have some other examples, real simplistic concepts for this. There's some more that are more elaborate. This is one where everyone just brings their chairs and, you have a covered structure where they hold events. I mean, I know they do things like this now at like Kiwanis Beach, but there's often parking issues. We don't really have a place like that today where we have ample parking and, the ability to do larger scale events like this. So this is really the idea. You can go to the next one. Here's another example. This is one I saw on the internet. Cost them $250,000 to build the structure. They also got a grant to help with the costs. Seats about 400 people, and they did kind of a tiered structure where they actually had a little concrete wall there. Next slide. Here's another more open space. This one is actually in Georgia. Terrace lawn seating, so kind of like they do at is it called the Tweeter Center now? It should be Great Woods. Comcast Center. Everyone can sit on the fields, and the stadium or the stage is kind of recessed like this, so people can really all see from all angles, but it's still open. They use it for weddings, concert shows, etc. Similar things that I'm presenting here. Next slide. Here's another concept. Another one, next, another one, and that's the final one. So, very simplistic. Trying the idea of trying to do something. We don't really have to change much about the landscape, but still, we obviously is going to have to build some things. So, some of the anticipated requirements of such an idea would be, to have a capacity of about 300 to 500 people. Obviously, we have to look at that, and we would need to be able to parking to accommodate that number. Our thought is it doesn't necessarily have to be paved. It could be gravel, again, minimalistic concept. Handicapped accessibility would be needed. Bathroom facilities, power and lighting, all these need to be worked out. But, this is what we think to start. You go to the next slide. So for us, is it even feasible? We're in the very early exploratory stage of this. We wanted to share it with you. We know you guys have great ideas. And you also know what can and can not be done in the town. So that's why we wanted to present it to you. We have spoken to, I forget their names now. We did speak to someone from the Open Space Committee. Remember their names? Bill Taylor and Mike.
Mike.
Yes, they came and presented at the last membership meeting. And they talked about some of the existing open space, and they had identified Stefan's Farm might be a good site for something like this because of the topology. But we haven't walked the site yet. You know, I'm not even sure if it's feasible with traffic and those types of things. And, you know, obviously we won't necessarily be able to figure that out ourselves, but, you know, that's something that we want to look at. But, you know, we want to learn more from you, from the other committees in town. You know, what is the minimum viable concept that we could propose? You know, and by that I mean, what would be the minimal design that would impact the environment the least, impact the town the least? That type of thing is really what we're trying to come up with. And then obviously maybe we can capitalize on some previous visions. I know there's a number of plans out there already that on various lots of land that the town owns. You know, maybe we can piggyback or replace some of those, partner up, whatever. You know, maybe you could put a dog park in here along with, you know, just things of that nature, you know, open space. Next slide. So for us, next step, obviously we wanted to share the idea with you. Again, it's very early stages of this idea. Names that might kind of go in both categories. What we want to do is we want to kind of have a little group outing with members, some of the members of the men's club and the subcommittee that we've listed up to talk about this, to go walk Stefan's Farms and take a look at the topology and look at the grounds, so we can actually, you know what we're looking at compared to the map that Bill and Mike shared with us at the meeting. You know, because they talk about, you know, the potential road opportunity here to access it, but, you know, we don't really know. I don't really know the site yet, but that's kind of the next step for us. And then, of course, explore other locations, gain some more understanding about, you know, how we could do this, what we would need to do, who we would need to work with to, you know, kind of push the idea forward, or not, you know, just really where we are. And then try to understand what involvement we would have in terms of time, how we would help, you know, see this vision through. And that's really it.
So basically, the selectmen are aware that in 2006, for example, in Stefan's Farm, the way that was presented to the community was going to be, I would use the word vast. Others might not use that word. Areas open to the public, from playgrounds to much more, still passive, but active use of that land. And respectfully, it hasn't happened. I live on Mechanic Street, so to me, Stefan's is such a beautiful parcel of land. The views that you have from that are amazing. Also, was it going to be funded by? The Community Preservation Act is a very appropriate source for this. It's one of the three viable ways you can spend those funds. And the club is purposely looking at something that's minimalistic, so it will not affect the land. And there is nothing in the town right now. I think the closest that there might be is the town beach, which, if you've been there, respectfully, isn't even American with Disability compliant. And where they have that little shelter, you know, I've gone to several musical events. It's nice, but it really isn't for a large group of the community to utilize. So, and, you know, Brad is thinking, well, how does it happen? Well, hopefully at some point our discussion with you will continue, but I suspect that you would probably appoint a committee to look into the viability and come back and make a recommendation. So the club, again, is now celebrating its 25th year. Time really flies. And as Brad says, the club is really involved, our perspective, in doing whatever the community needs us to do, that for whatever reason the town can. So that, to me, would translate that hopefully if you do decide to go forward with this and explore options in the community, that you consider perhaps appointing some of the members from the men's club, in addition to other members who are interested. Land Stewardship Committee, I can imagine at least one or two of those people are going to be involved. The Recreation Commission, this is really something too. I think that the Recreation Commission would get behind. But the reality is that based on, you know, the costs that we've seen, again, some of them might be a couple of years old. I'm not going to throw out a number that I can promise you, but I mean, I think this is several hundred thousands of dollars. We already own the land. We're not looking to build, you know, major structures. And the parking is important though, so that a good number of people can enjoy it. So Brad came up with the idea. He's put a lot of effort in, you know, to this presentation, and we hope that you'll consider it and that we'll go somewhere from here.
It's been a while since I've been out to the Stephen Farm. Now there's electricity and water available. Did they tear down any of the old buildings?
So they sold the property, the Steffens did, and actually somebody built a house behind the Steffens. So, but that's their property. When it was sold, they have 5 lots plus the Steffen home on Mechanic Street, and that's what they retained. So the town has approximately 100 acres on the Steffen side and about 25 acres that the community garden utilizes. So last year, as you know, last fiscal year, finally the community garden was connected to the town water source. So you certainly have water available through piping to bring it up to wherever this is going to be. You know, we'd also hope that, I mean, again, the vision is so brand new, but there'd be, you know, restrooms, there'd be lighting, you know, generator. I can't imagine that this isn't something that the town would really enjoy. You know, I've looked around the surrounding towns. I don't think there's anything like this. You know what? It's beautiful. We should walk it because honestly, there's really 2 flat areas up there that I think personally be appropriate. You can also access it through Orchard Street in order to get up to those higher areas. So I know that Brad and some members of the club are going to try and get up there now, but maybe in March or whatever, you know, but it's a phenomenally beautiful property. I can imagine you've lived here since, you know, this became the United States, right? You've been here. And I assume that you are
Not
very
exactly that long, but you're on the right path.
I assume that you're very familiar with this Steffens Farm, but it is a beautiful parcel. It's a very wise selection. We acquired that because we didn't want the town aquifer, at least that was my idea as a selectman, right? Didn't want the town aquifer to be impacted. But it hasn't been used respectfully the way that it was presented to the community. And I can get anybody that about 100-page document that represented to the community what was going to be done once the committee took over and started to manage that land. And it hasn't been opened up enough, in my opinion, respectfully for the town. But that's only one. You have the Trask land, that might be another option. It's flat, you know, but it doesn't respectfully, I mean, it has some scenic beauty. But again, obviously, I'm a big fan of Steffens Farm.
Well, are there any other parcels that you might be interested in?
There may be. I mean, we are just starting to learn about what is available, and then obviously there's certain sites that have some restrictions, be it whether they be conservative restrictions or grant restrictions. But we don't know all that yet. So Steffens is just one that you know, Bill and Mike had mentioned to us that would be viable, they think. But I'm sure there's others.
Honestly, I think it's a committee. So in my mind is that you will consider it and maybe decide to appoint a committee. You know, Derek will put out there that they're looking for citizens to be involved. And I think it's up to the committee to take a look around and then report back to you with a proper presentation, which might be the most viable 2 or 3 parcels.
I think, I think first I would say it's a great idea. It's, you know, can we make that from a concept? Can we actually make it into an action plan and actually carry it out? That's really the tricky thing. I've said numerous times, and I believe, Alan, I believe you and I had a conversation where the town's always out there looking for more parcels, right? We're always buying more and more open space. But as you both mentioned, we're underutilized. We have this property that Steffens Farm is a great example where you don't have great access to it. We probably don't have great parking for that. I've often thought that the Orchard Street side would be the best way, but I think we have a right of way in there. I don't know if we have the ability to provide parking. I'd appreciate if you reach out when you plan to do a site walk. Reach out, let me know. I'm an outdoors guy. It doesn't matter if there's snow, mud, it doesn't matter. I'll take a walk on with you and take a look and see if I can give you my my input. I would say immediately, probably the Trask parcel would probably be the easiest access. But again, I think from a scenic beauty standpoint, you probably are right. You know, the Steffens Farm would probably be a much more, you know, viable, picturesque location for something like that.
So again, I think it starts with the committee. You know, the selectmen are thinking of this. And again, the idea is to show that, you know, the club through Brad has put effort into this, and hopefully some members of maybe the Upton Men's Club and who have been involved with Brad would be asked to be members of that. So
That's a good idea.
And I think the only other thing, maybe Derek, maybe you would have this answer, or maybe somebody from open space or conservation may have the answer, which is some of the parcels we own in town are considered passive recreation. So I'm hoping that these parcels are still, that this is a, valid use for the land, say concerts.
Robinson would be. Robinson property would not be, and also the farm on North Street would not be accessible. So those were purchased, which is right of way for walking on certain parcels. You couldn't do that with those. So there are some parcels that we are able to build or utilize it the way that at least Bradley Club's vision is. But again, the committee would explore and report back to you at some point.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's another way to do it, the topology kind of is part of the design, part of the concept, where it's kind of a sunken field where you can literally just sit on the field and you look down at the venue.
So that's no trust, but who knows?
But yeah, but that doesn't mean.
I would just think that the only thing I would add is the more background information you can gather, I think that would help, whether or not it makes sense to form a committee or whether or not that's a good, again, getting back to Stephens, is that a good parcel to try to carry out an option like this?
Sure.
So I suspect it is, Steve, because again, take a look at that document from 2006. It was identified that there was going to be playgrounds up there. And I'm assuming that whoever drafted that document was drafted, I was no longer a selectman. That's how it was not necessarily sold because we already own the property, but how it was going to be utilized. So you're right. Orchard Street is basically, 1.5, 2 vehicles going, really 2 vehicles, one each way. On Mechanic Street, I personally think can definitely handle it. I think it would probably be, you talk probably some 6-figure to build a road up if you're going to go that way, but I think Orchard Street would be the way to go. But again, you need the committee, I think, to explore all the options in town and then do a proper presentation for you to decide whether or not to present it to the community or utilize the Community Preservation Act.
Well, maybe we can talk about that at a meeting, maybe set up a committee.
This as a future agenda item.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you.
Great.
thank you. I have to go to the Men's Club Board of Directors meeting.
Yeah, let me get you this.
Thank you for your time.
One evening for both.
Thank you for your time.
Did you grab
Sure.
it? Everybody, Brad,
Good night now.
can you send a copy of this?
Have a good evening, guys.
You got it. That's it.
Thank you.
And as I mentioned, drop us an email if you plan to do a site walk.
Okay.
Please reach out.
I will.
Perfect one.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like to see where the deer, that's true. I like to see where the deer are moving.
Yeah.
Yep, we were the ones down. I'm just thinking they make it with this committee. Feasibility committee.
Feasibility for outdoor fair.
Or or.
Is that type of venue considered recreation? This
Um,
trash property continues to come up and I
well,
continue
there's
to explain to
restrictions
people,
on, isn't there?
there's only one use for
Youth.
it, recreation.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's the only use hobby trash left for that property.
Yeah.
And even when we accepted it, it states in the will that if we are using recreation purposes, it automatically reverts to a statewide coalition for open space. So it wouldn't even stay within the hands of the town if we use it if we plan on using it for different purposes other than recreation. So, but again, I don't know if.
I mean, if it's-
venue would be considered recreation.
Well, if it's community.
Whatever. Yeah.
So I guess right, that's entertainment. So I guess the question is, does entertainment cross the line? Does that detract from? I guess those are legal questions.
We have a director that we can help us with that.
Yeah.
Help me.
Amphitheater.
Feasibility committee?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, like you cannot pronounce it,
AFC committee.
That's what they'll be calling.
What is it?
Nobody's gonna say amphitheater.
AFC committee. Amphitheater. I can't say it.
Amphitheater.
You better call it
Yeah.
more than-
And,
No, that's
But the
it.
amphitheater, if it's enclosed in the back. it isn't
so that's
huge,
what they want to do.
But that was so bad.
No,
Like
well,
the
it has a
backside.
backdrop and a roof and sides and everything, so,
Yes, that was wrong.
I mean, ooh, okay.
It's another word.
Okay, next on the agenda is a request from Rushford and Sons to extend the hours of operation on December 31st to 1 a.m. And Chief Bradley, I think, has,
Chief Bradley is on with us. Brian, are you here? I saw him earlier.
Yes, I am. Can you guys hear me? I called in.
Good.
Do you guys hear me?
Good evening, we can hear you, yes.
Oh, excellent. Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, Chief Bradley.
Hi, good evening.
Okay. So, yeah, we are just asking, not nearly as exciting as the Upton Men's Club proposal there. It's awesome. That's awesome idea. Yeah, we just would like to be open for New Year's Eve late so people can welcome in the new year with us. And yeah, that's what we'd like.
and Chief, you've looked this over?
Yes, I have no concerns about the proposal. This is consistent with what we've done with other establishments for this day.
Okay. Any questions, Chief?
I guess the only other question I would have is with this, and this may not be a question for you, Mr. Goodman. Would we require a common vicular license for this? Would there be food being served? Is there anything that about this day, an event and indoors, is there anything that would trigger a common vic license?
I don't know.
What if their Board of Health made the food?
I don't think that's serving food. You don't plan on changing your food, your operation. This is just to extend your hours. Right now, their operation is
Correct.
serving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the trucks.
Okay.
Okay.
So it would not. Okay. It's fine with me. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay. Have a motion.
Okay. I would make a motion that we expand or extend the liquor license from 10 p.m. December 31st to 1 a.m. on July 1st, 2022. I'm sorry, January 1st, 2022 for Rushford and Sons for New Year's Eve celebration.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right. Yeah. Majority. Okay, 5.2 is to approve the contract for Northeast revaluation. Kelly, are you gonna speak to that?
I can. Boy, that came out faster than I thought. I apologize. Yeah, I'll go to this side of the table. I feel like we're all lined up on one side. So as you may be aware, this was an article at the annual town meeting. We were up for our contract for our assessing. We use an outside vendor. We contract with an outside vendor to do our assessing. And we sent out the RFP. If you might recall, I'm just going to do a little bit of history. We didn't receive any proposals back, so we had to redo it again. When we redid it again, we did it as a 3-year contract or 2-year contract, and then we stated that we would have an option to do a 5-year. We asked for pricing for the 5-year contract. Luckily, the second time around, we got our existing company that we've had for at least 10 years, gave us a proposal. Needless to say, their pricing went up a lot than what we've had in the past. In the past, the pricing was $12,000 a year to do what we asked them to do. Now it's $20,500 a year. And then we also asked for the pricing for the certification, for the full certification that we have to do now every 5 years. And last time they gave us a proposal, it was $44,000, and this year it's $50,000. This time around it's $50,000. So the total contract over the 5-year period, I believe, is $149,500. And we have the contract already signed by the vendor, and we just need the approval for the town manager to sign it so we can get them on board and be ready for that to start doing the work as of March.
So this is to lock in the prices.
Yes, this will lock in our prices for the next 5 years.
Any questions, Steve?
I saw the contract, I read through it, I haven't actually studied all the finer details. I was really surprised by the jump in the value of the contract, so I was hoping to get our previous contract so I could kind of really understand what it is that we've got here, why it's such a dramatic increase from last time.
Well, the previous contract is a 2-year.
Well, it is broken down per year, and per year they were charging us $12,000 a year. Now their cost is $20,500. So it's $8,000 a year just each year that they've thought out. And Steve, there's less and less companies that are doing this type of work. Hence the reason why we did not get proposals. So the fact that we have this proposal, the Board of Assessors is thankful for. And we've been doing work. It's approved by the Department of Revenue. Unfortunately, we can't control that. They increase the price almost a third for each year, is really what it's coming down to.
Yeah, and I would just say, keep in mind that, again, as Terry pointed out, we issued the RFP once. And to be honest with you, we didn't get any responses. We decided to think, how are we going to get this work done if we can't contract this work out? And the only alternative we would have had to consider hiring an additional staff person to do this type of work. So, this is a lesser, although it's more expensive than the previous contract. And again, we had them lock in for 3 years at $12,000. They changed that. So it did jump up to $20,000. But again, we have this is a fixed price for the next 5 years. So it's probably the best we're going to do at this point when we think about outsourcing this work to a private firm. But again, the alternative would be if we don't execute this contract tonight, we'll have to consider hiring and then training someone to be able to do these types of assessments.
They'd also have to be certified.
Right. So Don, can you just go over those increases one more time? You said it, because I remember we were always budgeting $11,000 a year, then we went to $12,000 a year. And now, so we're going from 12 to 20 even?
Okay, so keep in mind that $11,000 that you were talking about, that you just mentioned, that is for the 5-year certification that we do. We kind of say that wasn't the yearly fee. So in the operational budget, we were putting aside $12,000 a year in the operational budget to pay for this work to be done. As of FY23, we're going to have to be putting $20,500 in the operational budget. And then we're going to have to take that $51,000 that is the cost for the 5-year, and we're going to have to divide that up over the next 5 years. So it'll be like $10,000 a year for that article that you just mentioned. And I'll add one note as I'm looking at this price proposal, because we are going with the 5-year contract, they gave us a savings of $8,000. They're only charging us $125,000 versus $133,000.
And again, I'm just looking at the document show, for historical purposes, Steve, going back 5 years ago, so that's at 18, it was $6,800 per year. And then the last contract, they moved it to $12,000 per year. So these types of increases seem like they're pretty consistent with what they've been doing over time.
6,800 to 12,000, now to 20,500. Correct. Doesn't make it any more palatable, does it?
No, but, well, let's take a look at the price of gas around here, as nothing goes down.
Let's put it this way, the work is needed, and if the work is not done, the tax rate is not set, and if the tax rate is not set, then there's no revenue coming into the town, so.
That's right. And on the description of work, other than term of contract, the description of work, what they're evaluating, all that stays the same from last contract.
Exactly. if they're doing the same exact work that they've been doing.
Okay,
Let's see. Yes, I don't have any other questions. I'm not happy about it.
Well,
You do, right?
that's right. Can I have a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the contract for Northeast reevaluation. Period of time as described in the contract. That's right. And authorize the town manager to execute the contract in the amount of, I think it was 149.5, is that it? Anything else I should add to that? Motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Majority action.
I appreciate your support.
149,425. I guess I missed it by a few bucks.
Oh, and 5.3, we need to vote to file and accept the FY 22 firefighter safety grant. What was the amount on that, 13,000?
13,795. This is the grant, well, to be exact, 13,795.87 cents. This is a grant that's being submitted by the fire department for 2 mobile repeaters. Each will be placed on the engine of the ladder.
I looked at it looked good to me. There's just a date that was, I think it's just a typo on the, it says offer good till, I think it says 2020. So, but below that, it has a date of November 21. So I'm assuming it's just typographical. So Derek, you said that's 13,795 and 80 cents?
Yeah, 87 cents.
87 cents, okay. I would make a motion that we approve the FY 22 firefighter safety grant in the amount of $13,795.87.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Majority action. 5.4 is discuss annual renewal licensing.
Pass over.
You want to pass over?
There weren't any more.
There's no more.
No, well, there are, but we're not ready for any more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Placeholder.
5.5, discuss Maya grant, property, cyber, and safety. How much is this one, Eric? 8?
It's fine.
Five?
1 second.
Yeah, mine was
$5,000 even. This is for 1 mounted cruiser cam, 3 body worn cameras, and the associated hardware and software. Again, this is another grant application and award by the police department.
I see the requested amount, $9,575, and the awarded amount was $5,000.
Yeah, and the reason being is I actually got a phone call directly from Maya. They had this, so this is an annual grant program, and they allow us to apply for up to $10,000. And they had said that they received so many applications this year. They only had a small pool of money, so they tried to ensure every municipality received something. So they reduced our ask from $9,000.
It's not a matching grant, or
No.
so just straight up. Understood?
We need a motion.
Okay. I would make a motion that we approve to accept the grant and the award of $5,000 from Maya for the dash mounted cruiser camera and 3 body cameras.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Majority action. The next item, we have a letter from the trust fund commissioners. And it was, questions were raised by the library trustees relative to the Laura Dern Trust, and you went to town council.
Yeah, so again, this letter from the trust fund commissioners is kind of, it's something that's being memorialized from the conversation that you had as a joint meeting with the trust fund commissioners they discussed what are the roles and responsibilities of the trust fund commission versus the board of selectmen. And then I think it really came to head when the Laura Durham request came before the board of selectmen. It states in that will that this is to be used by the library trustees, so the library trustees and to the trust fund commissioners for final ratification for the use of these funds. So the trust fund commission at this point, they're asking the board of selectmen to authorize myself to go work with town council to do an analysis of the various wills, and then look at the town's current bylaw, and then provide an opinion as to the roles and responsibilities of the trust fund commissions. And I think my personal opinion is that based upon those two opinions by town council, that will give us an opportunity to have a discussion as to what we need to do, if we have to change the bylaw, if we have to change our process, or we have possibly a selectment policy of how to use some of these trust funds. So I think that's kind of the summation what they're trying to get at with the request.
Well, I think good for them to go forward looking to finalize all this, and I think that's a good thing to do. I would be in favor of voting that the town manager meet with the town council and let's get all our policies and bylaws and everything in order.
I think the one thing that I've always been curious, and this came up earlier, I believe at our joint meeting that we had, was there was made mention of when the trust fund commission was formed, but what does that bylaw actually look like? And I do understand that a lot of these deeds are really old deeds and really need a little better definition, as one of the members brought to our attention. But I guess that would be my only thought, is it would be nice to see. I don't think it's a problem with all of the funds. It's a matter of.
But there are some out there that need looking at and who's responsible for.
Yeah, and I think my only, concern is I don't want to redo something that's already understood. Right. And redo a policy where I wouldn't want the board of selectmen to lose the authority or the principle in which we've been administering these funds all the years.
And that would be divided by council through the analysis that Derek's going to work on. So could we take a vote to the town manager to work with council in putting together the analysis for the trust funds on the bylaws, policies and procedures, duties and responsibilities?
Well, I was going to say, so how do you want to actually, what are your thoughts? How do you want to actually word it?
I mean, the motion could be simple, just to do the analysis on the trust funds, in regards to the bylaws and,
In the letter, it's mentioning pool trusts. So are we talking about the pool trust funds, or are we talking about all funds?
Yeah, I think the pool trust certainly would be one of them, because those ones are very complicated, because of one of the requests that I think like Simon's had made early on was to try to get an accounting of all the different trusts. And the problem is the pool trust, it's very difficult, from what I understand, for the accounting firm to be able to provide that type of analysis other than once a year. So I think that's why they're hoping that if we look at the wills of the pool trust, is there a way that we could, at least the conversations I have with trust fund commissioners, is there a way that we could then ultimately maybe go back to probate court and have some of them resolved? Because it's like $500 or something.
Yeah, there's not easily even less than that in some of them.
Yeah, I think that was the question we had at the last meeting.
Yes.
Can we close some of these out, especially in light of, the library? A new library slated.
The library is in.
Well, the Laura Durham one was a library trust, but it's not.
Yeah, it was a library trust, it's not.
Yeah.
So how do we want this motion to read? Just to give you the authority to work with town council on putting together an analysis of all trusts.
And I would maybe amend that to have them provide an opinion on the role and responsibilities of the trust and commissions.
Got that, Steve?
I do, but I think I want to take these one at a time. I think I'm good with analyzing the trusts for now. I just don't, I don't know if I want to get the roles and responsibilities of the trust fund commission in just yet.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, that will designate whether it's under the Board of Selectmen, like the Racine, or it's under, or everything is under the trust fund commission. How old's that bylaw, Kelly, do you know?
I can get that for you.
This is passed a special town meeting in 2005.
2005. I mean, you need an opinion. Every board needs rules and responsibilities explained.
Yeah, it would be just nice to see how it was set up in the first place.
That's all changed now because they're an electric board.
I think they were elected from the beginning.
Yeah, I sent the board just a link to the general code, which will speak directly to this question, but if you want me to, I'll read you because it's only 3 sentences. Responsibilities and duties. The said Board of Commissioners shall, so far as consistent with the terms of the trust, manage and control the same and distribute the income in accordance with the terms of the respective trusts. The board shall keep a record of its doings, and at the close of each financial year shall make a report to the town showing the total amount of funds in their investments, receipts, and disbursements on account of the same, setting forth in detail the source of the receipts and the purposes of the expenditure. I don't know if they do the expenditure piece. That's interesting.
Well, they have to. I always receive it from the trust fund commissioners when they're going to be expenditure.
Yeah, I don't know in the annual report that's submitted to the town, and within our own annual report, if they have an expenditure cost for what the purpose of the funds are used for. I don't know, I'm just saying I haven't seen.
Almost like a year-end reconciliation to say, okay,
Right.
at the end, we expended $30,000 out of this,
Right.
500 out of this.
Instead of taking each individual expenditure. Yeah. That's the account.
So that's all that's stated on the responsibilities and duties of the trust fund commission. That's directly from our.
To me, I always thought that, again, we can ask questions, but I always thought it was the trust funds commission who roles and responsibility to invest the money, look after the investment side of it, how the money is, let's just say, accounted for. But it's our job to actually expend the funds. But again, I don't want to split hairs.
Well, the treasurer is the custodian.
Okay, so I would make a motion to authorize the town manager to have discussions with KP Law to try to define who trusts and the authorization or usage of all the funds.
Okay,
Is that what you're
me?
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, majority action. 5.7 is Toys for Tots parking lot usage requests.
All right, so I had sent the board an email because this was a tight timeline where I was approached by a gentleman by the name of Michael White. He was here for 40.
Yeah.
He represents the local Toys for Tots drive, and he asked if he could read this to you, a 53-foot, unlogoed trailer. Maybe he just spelled it, but anyway, it's the back of the 18-wheeler, the box piece. So it looked like the trailer piece of the 18-wheeler. They were expecting it to arrive on the weekend. It's not there yet. It's to be placed at 0 Grove Street. They want to use that as a staging area, as they collect toys in the area. store them in the 18-wheeler until December 17th, at which time they'll remove the trailer and take it off to its final destination. I had given him the verbal okay, but as you know, what's final authority to approve the use of alcohol. So I'm bringing that before you this evening.
I don't have any trouble with that. That's fine with me. It's a good, certainly good cause, Toys for Tots. You know, another location in town where they're doing that as well. And I think on logo, they must just mean the trailer's unmarked. I'm guessing. Is what
Oh,
they mean.
yeah, maybe unlogoed, maybe that's what it means.
Yeah. 53.
Some
No, you had it. You just didn't.
I was reading too far into it.
Yes,
So-
you were reading between the lines. Just read it at face value. Yeah, I think they also call those trailers like a grind.
Yeah.
Zero.
But anyways, yeah. Would you like a motion on that?
Please.
Okay. Yeah. I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen authorize the use of the parking lot for Toys for Tots gathering for the 53-foot unlogoed trailer
On Zero Grove Street.
on Zero Grove Street. Thank you.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town managers report.
Okay, couple announcements this evening. I just wanted to remind folks that this coming Thursday, Chief Bradley will be sworn in as the president of Massachusetts Association this coming Thursday. So again, congratulations to Chief Bradley. He's certainly going to have a heavy legislative agenda with everything going on, police reform and things of that nature. And then on Sunday, we have our groundbreaking ceremony. That's going to be at 1 p.m. Over at the site. Right now, the construction is slated to break ground probably another week or so. I was still waiting for final word from the general contractor on that, but the code department has issued the foundation permit so that they can go ahead and start that project. As far as the tip project goes, you will see, and so I'm bringing this up now before the snow flies, because we're supposed to get some snow tomorrow. You will see the utility poles still in the center of some of the sidewalks. Dennis is working with Verizon to be able to get a better sense of when they're going to be removed. But we are preparing for the worst, knowing that those poles will not be removed before the winter hits. That's going to create a challenge because we have to plow those, we have to clean the sidewalks. And right now, the machine they use is too wide to get around those. So the DPW is trying to come up with a contingency plan. And so how they're going to clean the sidewalks this winter, those poles aren't removed. So I'm just giving the board a forewarning that this may be a problem this winter. And it's certainly going to create a lot more work for the guys over the public works. Moving on tomorrow, we're working directly with the railroad to send a 10 of our firefighters over there. There's a hazmat training on site that's being put on by CSX. CSX is the big rail company. They have a location close to Worcester. They're actually holding the hazmat training, which will get very good training for our firefighters on how to respond if there were to be an incident or something area. You will, the police department received a grant, you probably remember a few months back on how they got additional dollars to enforce traffic safety. And so they have to do 3 of these events per year. And the first event is going to take place starting next week. It's going through January 1st, where they're going to be doing stops and looking for people that are impaired driving. So again, we're using a grant to pay for that oversight and such. The senior center's holding an annual Christmas party on December 17th. The Board of Health is going to hold a booster clinic this coming Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. over at Nipmuc. So that's they have a few slots available. So if folks who are listening want to sign up, contact the Board of Health office for a booster shot. And they do still offer flu shots as well, but those are walk-ins only here at the Board of Health.
And then a couple of good events that had taken place over this past weekend. The fire department held their annual Pancakes with Santa this past Saturday. I really well attended. A bunch of people may have attended that event. And then you may have noticed on social media, the police association was in 3 different parades. They had their, what do they call it? Secret Service?
Santa Secret Service.
Santa Secret Service. They built their own trailer. So, and they're going to be doing this again in town on Christmas Eve. They'll be driving around town with their sleigh that they recently built, and Santa will be in it and doing good things just to try to create some good morale here in town. And then last, as you know, we have 1 vacancy in our police department for sergeants. So Chief Bradley is going to be holding a sergeant's exam. We're expecting to call at least 1 sergeant into that position over the course of the next 6 to 8 weeks. And then we would expect promotions to take place thereafter. We started the budget process with the departments. This next Tuesday, just to remind the board, we'll be having a virtual meeting with the planning board to discuss Governor's Landing. My request to the board is that they consider having a few agenda items in advance of the 7 p.m. meeting. If we are able to get some administrative items done first, we wouldn't have to immediately with Christmas. But there are some things that we definitely are pressing. We want to get done before the Christmas break. That would be good. Any more questions? That's all I have.
If you could just talk just for a minute again about the Secret Service sleigh, is that what it's called?
Yeah, so the police association, they built a sleigh.
Yeah, I'll pull up the picture.
Yeah. Could you pull it up online maybe? No? I don't know if we could pull it up online. So, and they hitch it to a trailer. And you got to see the pictures because they're great. All the police officers dressed up as elves. They were in the Mendon parade.
We're in the Oxford.
Milford. So they attended those 2 parades this past weekend, and they're going to take that same trailer. Santa will be in it for our children, and then on Christmas Eve we'll go around town and they're not going to put in so much driving on the trees, waiting for the kids, and just try to
Go through some of the developments in town and that sort of thing.
Yeah. But you gotta see the pictures.
Do you know your sign?
Sure.
Let's see if I'm going to go wrong.
What is it? Upton?
I know, phone username would be is Derek's email.
Just to follow up on what you were talking about with regard to the poles that are in the middle of the sidewalks. I did notice after one of the rain events that we had, I was traveling up the new section of Hopkinton Road, and there's a big area of standing water on the left-hand side, leaving if you were heading towards Hopkinton, not far, I want to say right across the street from the pond.
Secret Service.
And there's a big area there where it's holding water. I don't know if the picture's wrong or if there's not a drain that's supposed to be
There
there.
is a drain there. I don't know, it's just when it really pours.
Dennis on that. I feel like I've heard this one before.
That's why I wanted to mention it. I thought this might be a good opportunity if Dennis is working with the state Mass DOT to try to figure out what's going on there. We should get that resolved because if that freezes up, that's going to be a big problem.
Oh, yeah.
You know how it is once.
So you're saying in front of that?
Yes, but the opposite side of the road. So it's a front of the opposite.
Just before you take a left to come into town.
Oh, right.
It's right almost at the end.
Peter's gonna throw me.
Yeah, I think if you were,
You know where they dug that whole hill out?
yes.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was there for 2 days. When we had the heavy rain event, I happened to come by and I kind of said, well, I'll go by again and see what happens.
Yeah.
Again, I thought it was drained there. I said, well,
Because it's good to know now, because they're wrapping up the list for the winter, and they're probably already wrapped up. I'll let me check with Dennis on that. So this is,
That's
So-
like,
So that's the sleigh of the police association built.
there they are.
Look at that. Yeah, they did a great job. So they were in 3 different parades this past weekend with the Santa's Secret Service.
The picture, well done. Well done, gentlemen.
Where'd they find the outfit?
Well, you probably ordered them online. And it's quite the outfit.
Oh, yeah. Then at night, they're all blue, they illuminate.
Oh, they do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course they do.
That's the sleigh.
I think their plan is, to paint the sleigh red Christmas Eve day.
Yeah.
When they're driving through town. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I should have really shared the screen, so it put it down.
In perpetuity. Want to embarrass the guys, huh? That's all I have.
Okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Majority action.